Okay, now for the carving. Most people that do this, you know, I've gone on YouTube and I've seen what other people do too, just for fun. And most people use a Dremel. I don't. I got U-grooves here. I got well, it's just a regular carving tool set. You got to keep these suckers super sharp. This is the one I use the most. It's a little U-groove, and I got a wider U-groove. I got these used and they were in horrible shape. It took me forever to sharpen them. And then a regular carving knife. This is a cheap one too. You get at a carving or at a hobby store, and the blade was really horrible on it. I had to sharpen that one too, my way. And then these are diamond files. You can use regular files too. They're diamond needle files. I like these because they don't really clog up that much. They're just cheapies too. But yeah, I get in here with the U-groove and just kind of go around. Takes a lot longer than using a Dremel too, but I don't know. I like the looks of it. It actually looks hand carved, and it is. So yeah, generally at the halfway point is where it starts to want to lift the other side. So you got to kind of, you can only go halfway, and then you got to start working the other way, kind of meet everything in the middle. You can tell when you do this enough if you're going with the grain the right way. It's really shiny and it's pretty much finished. You don't really have to do anything after you get a good carve out of it, because it's a really nice finish. So I got in here with a regular U-groove, the big one. It's actually too big now, so I got to get the smaller one in here. This one can get some really nice deep cuts. You just want to get the bark out. You'll be able to see, you know, there's, I don't know, it looks kind of perforated when you get down to the real wood. It gets really shiny, really flat. See, like right there, I had to stop it because it's starting to lift the grain, so it doesn't look carved. And you just want to go a little at a time. You don't need to get too crazy with it. Yeah, I do use a Dremel too sometimes just to finish them up. Sometimes you just can't get in there. Yeah, just take a little at a time, little at a time. Get those little shavings out of there. Yeah, you probably won't see anybody doing it this way. I'm probably the only guy you're gonna find that's going to be doing stuff like this. Just keep going back and forth until you get a nice looking grain. A little at a time. Just barely get little tiny splinters out of here. Yeah, that's pretty good. We got some really tiny splinters. And that's fine. Go on, you can run in here with one of these bad boys and just kind of hit it a little bit. Just knocks the burrs off. It gives it a scratched looking surface though too, which is kind of lame, but looks pretty good. I like it. I like them like that. It's a good looking cut. And I just do that to the whole stick. Yeah, I got this here cheapy rifler file set too. These work pretty good. The only thing is, if I ever put any kind of sealer on it, you know, like a first coat or anything, they load up really bad. But other than that, you know, when it's dry wood, these actually work really good. I need to start using these more. Yeah, I got this here. It's a drum sander. I think I found this drum on eBay, and the motor I got from somebody for free. It supposedly came off of a table saw and it didn't work, and they actually took the capacitor off of it. So I found a capacitor and I taped it on, and I put my own cord on it because that was gone, and a switch. And a lot of times it don't want to start, and I actually have to turn it by hand to get it to move. And then it works. And yeah, the shaft was too big too, so I just took a file and I turned the thing on and I ran it and I filed it down until it was the right diameter, and it's pretty square. These are nice too because you can use regular sandpaper. I'm actually going to put one on it because this one's all tore up. You just stick this little tool in here and turn this rod sideways and pull it out. Regular drum sanders are expensive and you go through them so fast. It's just such a waste of money. But these are really nice because you can just use regular sandpaper. Some people might tell you to start out with 80 grit. I start out with 120. Because 80 grit sucks. It's really hard to get all of the sandpaper marks off of the things, so I go as little as possible. It takes a little longer to do it with 120, but you'll get a whole lot less sandpaper marks in there. I mean, when I use pure tung oil, and when you do, any little scratch shows right up. A lot of people use like varnish or Varathane. I don't like that stuff. So you can have a pretty rough finish and slather that stuff right on, and it actually looks pretty good. But tung oil is a really picky stuff. it can look really nice, and as soon as you put your first coat down, it really, all your bad spots really stand out. So I'm really particular about that. I used to use 80 grit all the time, and I got sick of doing it just because it's just so rough. And, 120 cuts it down pretty quick. But yeah, these things are really nice. I think it was like, I don't know, 35, 40 bucks for this drum. You just keep rolling it and pushing it in and rolling it, pushing it in until it's good and tight. Yeah, this drum too, it's actually the right size for a regular sheet of sandpaper. So you don't have to cut it down too much and measure it or whatever. You just slap it in there. And you stick this little pipe in here. And it's an oval pipe. Here, I'll show you. If I can get the dang thing back out of here. There it is. See, this is oval. So you just stick it in there. It only goes in one way. And then you turn it just a little bit. And it holds that paper in there. Just like that. And yeah, you always want to wear a dust mask when you do this kind of stuff. This is one I just did. I carved this one up. It's pretty nice stick. I like it. I like them all. Yeah, I got a vacuum cleaner here. It doesn't work real good, but it works good enough. Here, it's never going to be perfectly round because you use a drum sander. I mean, it's padded and everything, but you can always see flats all over on it. So now I want to hit it with 120 by hand until it's nice and round. It looks pretty good, just that fast. Now after all of that, you want to do what they call whiskering. You take a damp rag and you wipe it down with a damp rag. And what that does is it lifts all of the grain that got pushed down that's loose. Some people heat up. Some people actually heat up the wood when they do this too. You'll get it damp, and then you take like a heat gun or a hair dryer and get it hot, and it lifts all the grain. It pops it up. I don't though. Usually just getting it wet works good enough. Yeah, just get it wet and let it dry. Let it dry. And then after it dries, then you just hit it with 120 grit again. And then after I do that, you know, there's a lot of little whiskers in here. They really stand out now because I got sawdust in there. I can hit all of these with my file again. And then after I do that, then I'll put my first coat of tung oil on it.